Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. This is one of my favorite people in the world to talk to. Don't talk to him enough, but he is the Boston Mass, all the way from Massachusetts. Jose Raymond, what is up, sir?
What's up, Ron? How you doing?
Good. I've been watching your channel. Excellent content on the Boston Mass. I think that's easy enough to remember, guys. Boston Mass on YouTube. Jose and his buddy Nate Tello. Okay. So you guys do some great stuff, and you were talking about a potential comeback. And I know you can get into it, but when you left the stage in 2018, I know training was very, very tough that year for you. You were in a lot of pain. Tell me what that last year of training was like for you, 2018.
It sucked, Ron. I tried to keep a brave face and be confident, but the reality is I had no business being on a professional bodybuilding stage. My body held together well enough. I mean, I actually won a show. I won the Dominican show.
That's right.
And still placed top 5 at the Olympia, but I couldn't train. I couldn't do the things that I normally do. Luckily my conditioning was good enough that it kind of held me together, but to a trained eye, you could see my legs were down. I didn't have the same round sweep to my thighs, which made my midsection look bigger. And it just I hated looking at myself, but certain shots were just as good as ever, like a side chest, because I could fake it from the side.
Right.
And I was still grainy, still hard. So I was able to pull it off to a degree. But the amount of pain I was in, people were commenting on a lot of my videos, seeing me walking around. It's like, you're limping everywhere you go and you're limping. I didn't even realize it at that point.
Right.
I was just so used to walking that way. It sucked. It sucked bad. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I had the surgery. I knew I was in a lot of pain. I knew that something was wrong and had to be done. But it wasn't until afterwards that I felt good again. I'm like, holy shit, wow. Like that's why they say when it comes to hips, you will know when it needs to be done. Wow. Because it is just, I couldn't drive. I had to literally take my hand to lift my leg up to get it out of my car, and my leg up to get it in the car. And then sitting for anything longer than 10 minutes, my hip would lock. So sitting on the couch or sitting in my car, I was in a lot of pain, discomfort.
So if that was just everyday stuff, what was a leg day like for you in that time?
Well, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't bend over at the waist. I couldn't do bent rows. I couldn't do deadlifts. I couldn't do stiff legs. I couldn't squat. I could still do leg extensions and hamstring curls and lunges. Wow. But that was about the extent of it. I really couldn't leg press. I could wrap up my knees and do some hack squats, but it wasn't, my physique was built off of a foundation of heavy movements, and I couldn't do that anymore. So,
hearing all that, your legs didn't, considering the fact that, how long was that going on for? Most of the better part of a year where you really couldn't do the movements you wanted to?
Well, it started back in 2016. I had knee surgery 2 days after the Arnold Classic in 2016. The week of the Arnold Classic, like the Tuesday before, I had 40 cc's drained out of my knee.
Oof.
And it was all because of my hip. Because my hip was off, it was messing with my knee. And then as soon as I had my knee surgery and that recovered, my hip started hurting like really bad. So that was 2016. So I've been dealing with it since 2016. My hip has been hurting. And,
was there a genetic component? Was like one leg shorter or something?
No, it's a family genetic component. My brother had both his hips done around like to the day of the same age.
Wow.
Well, the way my doctor described it was you're born in fetal position, and I never completely unwrapped. He's like, you were still a little bit tight in like this. Huh. So the connection at your knee was not the same. And eventually, it wore away. So it was bone on bone in my hip and at my knee. and they completely replaced my hip.
Yeah.
So that feels awesome now. The only thing I feel is like a little, you can feel the incision. I can feel in that area where now it's 2 years later. So
Right.
I can still feel weird, like some numbness, but man, I can use the leg again. I can do exercises again. The leg is twice the size that it was a year ago.
I know.
So it's really come back good. And my strength is there, and I feel good. I feel great about it.
Hey, you've never had any shoulder surgeries, right?
No, not yet.
Oh,
I'm sure I will.
I mean, it's amazing you've gone this long because, man, you've been pressing heavy weights for chest and shoulders since you were like a child, literally a child, before
Yeah,
you were even a teenager.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I was benching 315 at 14 years old,
dude.
and which is nothing compared to Chad Nicholson. The kid
Well,
just did 405. It's crazy.
I met Chad and his son at the Olympia, and I think the kid's already like 6'2".
Yeah, like 240 or something.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has a little baby. You can tell looking at his. If you really look, you go, "Oh, okay, that's like a teenager." But if you
Yeah.
saw him from across the room, you're like, "That's a grown ass man."
Yeah, they're huge. They train like animals. So
That's
yeah, no, I have some shoulder issue. I have limited external rotation of my shoulder. It's not great, but with some deep tissue work and constant therapy, I can improve that and hold that out as long as I can. I know I'll probably need a shoulder replacement at some point. All those signs, the grinding, the crunching, the crepitus, I can feel it and it's there, but I can still train.
Do
So
you
I'm
hear
gonna
the
train.
socket wrench sound when you press? Like click, click, click,
Um,
click, 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 click,
yeah,
click.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's like my elbow. I
Uh,
don't even do overhead dumbbell presses anymore. I can use a Smith machine, um, but I can stimulate enough to keep good shoulder thickness.
yeah.
So I'm not worried, so much about that.
Yeah, and I mean, I really believe this is true that if you train very, very heavy for many, many years and built the muscle that way, I don't think you necessarily have to keep training that way into your late 40s, 50s, and beyond. It's stupid to actually. I think
Yeah,
you can work around. You can use more machines like Dexter.
yep.
I know you're not a machine guy. You're more of a free weight guy. You always were. But you're big as a house right now. You're as big as you've ever been, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, well, I'm a combination because I'm lean. I was down to 204, which was the lightest I've been in 10 years. And then I started back up with a really disciplined diet, eating not missing any meals. I cut out cardio because I was just disappearing. And now
Mhm.
I'm back up over 220 and I'm lean. I'm a lean 220. Normally I would be 240 and fat, but
Yeah.
I feel good at this weight. I'm strong and my strength is getting better every day. And this is a good place to be. So
So you're kind of, I watched you already addressed this with Nate on your video, but it sounds like you're kind of waiting to see what you look like in the next few months, and
right.
then you're gonna decide whether or not, because you didn't leave, you left because you were in the hip pain and everything else. It's not like you left because you were placing out of the top 10 or you had a pec tear. There was no real reason you had to leave forever. It was just something that got fixed, and it seems to me you could come back any old time you want to and still do very, very well.
Yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow because it was an injury that made me leave, and my heart was still in it. My heart is probably always going to be in it, and I still think I got something left. I still think I got quite a bit left.
Yeah.
Not as far as years, but as far as competitiveness, how competitive I could be. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna continue training the way I am and give myself about another month, a month and a half, and then talk to Chris. Maybe go down and see Steve Weinberger and just make that decision from there. There's plenty of shows that'll be able to be. I mean, the Olympia is not till December this year, so
Right,
I'm sure
right.
there'll be 5 or 6 opportunities for me to do maybe Chicago or something. I was thinking New York, honest to God, because
Wow.
New York was, that was my show. I did it 5 times. I won it twice,
Yeah.
and it would have been a great show to go do, but it's a little too close now. It's like
Yeah.
10 weeks away, and
Yeah.
I still want to grow. If I'm going to get on stage and someone like Keon is going to be there, then you need full blown muscle. You got to be, I got to match him in size every bit. I can't go on stage at 200 pounds.
Yeah, who do you consider the best? Because it's a new crop of guys now, for sure. Then even 3-4 years ago, it was the top people were you, Flex Lewis. I think Eduardo Correa was still competing back then.
Yeah.
Dave Henry, Guy. I mean, it was some of these people are still competing, obviously. But do you think it's a tougher group now, or the same, or not as tough a group?
No, because we were all much older in our prime and at the same time. So, me and Eduardo had 15 years of competition under our belt. Same thing as Flex. Same thing as, there were some of the veterans, Kevin English, Mark Dugdale, even Jason Arntz was in the top 5 of my first Olympia,
That's right.
These were guys that were honed and ready, 100%. David Henry, we were all 100% in it was a sight to behold. Obviously there was always a winner, whether it be David, Kevin, or Flex, but it was fun to watch and see Eduardo come out and be like, what the hell is that? And we'd try to outdo each other every show, where here you see glimpses of it. You're like, Keon, that kid is unbelievable. Personally, he's my favorite right now. But he still hasn't brought that crazy hard craziness. If he did, he'll win. He'll win everything. He's got enough height, shape, width. He just needs the maturity, the hardness. But that's what that whole group of guys was known for, was condition. And, so I think if you took, say Eduardo at his all-time best, he would place, very high in this year's lineup. I don't know where he ended up placing. Did he compete this year?
No. I haven't. Last time I saw Eduardo, and he might have competed after this, but I think the last time was when he took second to Ashkenani at New York Pro. That was 2019.
And I think he had another surgery since then.
Really? And then didn't he win Puerto Rico Pro 212 that year too?
He may have, the week after New York or something. Yeah.
But I don't know if is he done? Is he all gone? I don't know.
I think he might be back. Yeah, I think he had another surgery on his arm, tricep or something.
Jesus, he's had no luck with that tricep.
Yeah, he had no luck. He had to take a picture with Bo Lewis backstage. And
oh, no.
That just ruined everything for him. I felt really bad.
Oh, man.
I certainly am not taking any photos with Bo Lewis.
Oh, come on now. You're a good guy.
Not unless I'm wearing a snowsuit.
Yeah. For those of you who know what we're talking about, And if you don't know, now you know.
Look him up. If you don't know, look him up. Flex Diesel.
He can't find trunks that fit, guys. It's terrible. No. Poor guy. No. But I got to go back just quick to tell that New York Pro story. Was it your second win that you decided the very last minute? Like the day before? You decided the day before to do that show, didn't you?
Yeah. So it was 2013. I had already done the New York Pro 4 years in a row. And I was like kind of burnt out. I'm like, I'm not going to do it again. So I had intended to do the Toronto Pro, which was a week later.
Yeah.
And I had gotten a guest posing gig through MHP that I was sponsored with at the time, to guest pose in upstate New York. So, it was Thursday afternoon. It was Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And Steve calls me and he's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, not much. And he's like, you're going to get fined. I'm like, fined? What do you mean? He's like, you're guest posing in a non-sanctioned event.
What?
I'm like, well, call MHP. I didn't set it up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. He's like, but you can come do my show.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
it's tomorrow.
yeah. There's just so much going through my head. Yeah. And he didn't want to tell me, but at the time something happened. Kevin English got injured last minute. And he wanted it to be an exciting show, and he knew I was, hitting my groove. I was at my best, and he's like, "What do you think? You think you can beat Sammy?" He was kind of busting my balls. I'm like, "Yeah, I can beat Sammy." He's like, "All right, then get your ass down here." I'm like, "All right, let me call Chris." So I called Chris. I was literally doing cardio after a workout.
Yeah.
And I called Chris, and Chris was like, "Well, who's going to beat?" I had sent him pictures that morning, and he was going nuts. He's like, "Yeah, you look crazy." And then he's like, "Who's going to beat you?" "Sammy ain't beating you. No way."
Right.
He's like, "Do it. Let's do it." I'm like, "All right." So at the time, the girl I was dating, I'm like, "You want to go to New York?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." We drove down, got there like 7:38 in the morning.
Yep.
Carla threw a coat of tan on me. We were at the competitors meeting. I didn't even have a hotel. I just stayed there.
I don't think you made it to the competitors meet. I thought you showed up at like 11 or something from when
I showed up right at weigh-ins in time to weigh in.
Yeah, it
and
was
I
late.
waited.
It was like last minute. You ran in. I remember.
Yeah, and I was heavy. It was the heaviest I'd been at that point. I was 211, and then nobody knew I was competing.
Right.
So then it was the coolest moment of my career, I think, because the New York crowd knew me well, and they were loud, going nuts. And then when they announced me, it was kind of a surprise, so everyone went nuts. And I came out on stage, like it just felt amazing. Like the whole crowd was there for me.
Yeah,
And
I remember before judging, you were in the bath. There weren't many places. It was kind of cramped. You were in the bathroom, and Chris was looking at you in the bathroom, and people coming in to go to the bathroom, and they're like, "Oh my God," because you're in there in the trunks hitting shots for Aceto, and like you said, most people didn't even know you were in the show. People were freaking out. I heard them running out, going, "Hey, Jose Raymond's in there. Jose's in the show."
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
did. You beat Sammy. You beat Sammy Al Haddad.
Yeah, and that was a damn good Sammy too.
That's one. That might be the best I've ever seen him, honestly.
Yeah, he was full, he was round. It happened to be, he's 4 or 5 inches taller than me.
Yeah.
So it made a difference when you looked at the both of us, and I weighed 5 pounds more than him, and I was, harder than him. So it's just a totally different look. I mean, if it were more of a classic physique look, he'd win. But it was, mass monster versus, he looked smaller next to me.
Right. That's
Particularly
interesting.
from behind,
Yeah, he never
the
had the thick.
hamstrings, glutes, and all that stuff were considerably weaker.
Right.
So, yeah.
So height in the 212 division has kind of come up. Giles has talked about it with guests before, because people give George Peterson some flack sometimes because he's 5'8", which is that's very tall for a 212 competitor. Kamal's probably about 5'5", I'm guessing. Clarita, how tall do you think Clarita is?
I think he's so full of shit.
I know. I want to hear what you.
I
What
think
do you
he's
think?
5 feet even,
Yeah.
5 feet and a quarter. Because honest to God, measured by the doctor, I'm 5'3 3/4.
Okay.
And he says he's 5'2", and I'm a lot more than 2.5 inches taller than him.
Right.
Well, I'm a lot more than an inch taller than him.
Right. Well, because I know I've been married for 30. I've been with someone 31 years who's 5'2". I know exactly what 5'2" is.
Right.
So if I'm standing next to someone who's 5 foot and they say they're 5'2", I'm like, huh, really? But
no,
whatever.
I think he's 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
5 foot even, 175 of granite. Crazy, so well proportioned. I can't give the kid enough credit and whatever. He was fucking unreal this year.
So you've seen him.
Looked like
You've seen him since the very beginning, since he started as a.
Yeah.
You probably were at the Nationals when he turned pro. Did you ever think he would be this big? And I never thought he was going to win the Olympia.
No, you could never foresee that. He certainly did. He believed it, and that's half the battle. He didn't look like, he doesn't have the frame. His shoulders are this wide, but they're capped with gigantic cantaloupes.
Like Phil Heath. Yeah.
Yeah, and his hips are tiny. There's nothing, you wouldn't say big. I mean, his arm probably isn't 17 inches, but it looks 25 on that small bone structure.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's that's the thing people don't realize is when some guy who's like 5'11" or 6'2", he says, I got a 21-inch arm. And I say, I know guys in the 212 that are 5'2" or 5'3" that have 20-inch arms.
Right, right, right. It's not
It's
that
nothing.
impressive.
You know,
Well,
your arm
what's
should be like,
impressive about Sean is he's got legit 26-inch waist. Like
yeah, yeah.
that, his hips and waist are so small, and he left nothing to chance. He was dry and conditioned from every angle. He nailed every pose. You know, that was he. Because here's the thing: if he didn't do all those things, Kamal would have beat him. Kamal
Yeah.
would have won. But there was nowhere that the judges could say, he slipped up right there. You got to give it to the champ. He didn't let anything slip. Nothing. Not his posing, his presentation, down to the music, to the way he posed, you know, to his confidence on stage and his quarter turns. And he nailed every aspect. Some shows you can just see it and be like, that dude nailed it. He probably will never be better than that. You know, with Sean, he's still young enough where he could be. But in my eyes, like if Sean tries to get bigger, like he did from last year to this year, he could ruin what he's got. But, you know, how do you tell someone who's going full speed ahead to put the brakes on? You can't. The only way he got there was full speed, no brakes, you know?
See, because his waist hasn't gotten any bigger. Well, maybe it has gotten a little bigger because he started out competing at like 125 pounds, but it doesn't seem like it's gotten that much bigger. So maybe he could put on like 5-6 pounds of muscle and keep the waist exactly where it is.
He might, but you know, I know from experience, it didn't take 5 or 6 pounds of muscle. It took 3 or 4.
Really?
Took a few.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't at 202. I did not have 1 inch of distension. As soon as I went from 202 to 206, 7, 8, you know, that's when things started looking funny. You know, I started having trouble controlling it, and you know, I had to purposely the morning of the show starve myself to make sure I had no food in my stomach so I could suck that in the whole time. And then, but that was always the trouble with me was, you know, at the Olympia, our prejudging would be in the morning, and then we'd be finals at night. You know, I mean, I eat 2 or 3 meals, I'm done. My stomach will blow up. So I had to, you know, when it was close between me and Flex or me and someone else, and that was a determining factor, I was fucked, you know, because I couldn't go 15 hours without eating.
Right.
You know,
and you pulled a really good vacuum, like between 200 and 205. That to me, that was always your best look.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that.
You were bigger and fuller when you were heavier, but I like, you know, you were never known for like being an aesthetics guy. You were a mass monster, but when you were lighter, you did have a great V-tape. You had a great vacuum in your double bicep, and the separations for me were cleaner. I liked your physique, 202, 204. To me, that's where you look perfect.
I agree. I mean, I got freakier. I definitely got bigger, harder, rounder, but is that the better physique? You know, and I won the bigger show. I placed my highest at the Olympia. I was the freakiest at 210, but for my liking and the whole aesthetic, and today, if I'm competing today, that's what I would go back towards is to try to be on the smaller end, not smaller, but as tight as humanly possible. Because there's no one who I have to try to outmuscle.
Right.
You know, Flex isn't here anymore. Flex was the biggest, hardest, shapeliest guy. So you had to try to out something him. You know, the guys today, like Sean, for example, you don't have to outsize him. You gotta have everything covered just like he does. The condition, the posing, the presentation, you gotta have enough muscle. Kamal had enough of everything. Where he lost it, it's gotta be is the leg sweep. You know, as you get older, you lose a little bit of that leg sweep. And it just didn't, you know, and Sean had really good leg sweep.
Yeah. I don't know if Kamal ever had really great quad sweep in the first place, to be honest.
No, he didn't. That's just the shape of his legs. But if they went down even 1%, it made a difference.
So you watched the Olympia, of course, right?
Yeah.
you had to have been thinking, you're watching, where would I have placed in this exact lineup at my best? So
Mhm.
where do you think? What were you thinking at that time?
Are you asking me or
Yeah,
my?
I'm asking you. Yeah, where would you
I think I would
place?
have won.
Okay.
I think the 2015 version of me at the Olympia would have won because it was just as hard as Sean,
Hmm.
but 20 pounds heavier and
Yeah.
only 3-4 inches taller. It's
That's
I
the
think
year
it
you
would
won
have
the
won.
Arnold, right? 2015 Arnold Classic.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. That's when I was on stage at around 210. Granite hard, really, really dry. That's no disrespect to Sean.
No.
He got a prettier physique than me, but they didn't go for the prettier look in that show because
Mm,
if they did, technically Kamal's the prettiest physique up there.
right,
They
right.
went for the biggest freak. Sean was the freak of the week.
Absolutely.
I mean,
What?
pound for pound, there was no one freakier on stage that day in any
No,
division.
he was nuts. But
Right.
what do you think what about Peterson? Because Peterson third place for his first time as a 212 and being as tall as he is, that was quite an accomplishment. But where do you see his future in the 212 at the Olympia?
I think he's got an uncanny ability to hold weight, hold muscle at a ridiculous weight. Like
Mm,
he's only, I know he wasn't at the limit either. I think he
nope.
weighed in 206 or something.
Yeah.
And it weird. His is gonna have to be. He's gonna have to figure out that condition where he nails it 100%. Now I don't know if he was off or if the guys he was standing next to were just that much better from
Mm,
what he'd done previously.
yeah.
This was the Olympia,
Right.
so I mean
Right.
for him to place third in the world was pretty damn good. But it wasn't the New York Pro. It wasn't. That's the show he won, right? New York,
Tampa Pro.
Tampa Pro.
Who won New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, New York was
Well,
Bo
Lewis.
Lewis,
Right.
and then Keon won the Chicago Pro. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, the level of condition had just stepped up a notch from his previous contest.
Yeah.
That's all. George has enough muscle. Maybe a little bit on his presentation he can work on. He's still doing that kind of like crunch down ab front double by. I think if he pulls a vacuum and just hits it straight on, he'll look a little better.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't hit too many vacuums. I think he's because his rib cage. I get the feeling he doesn't think he looks good in a vacuum because he doesn't. I don't see a lot of vacuums out of that guy. Even when he was
yeah,
in classic, he didn't do a vacuum.
I know. I don't know. I think the crunching down on the abs throws it off a little bit when everyone next to him. Even Sean doesn't do a vacuum. He just opens up his midsection.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
not everyone can do a vacuum in a front double, and it's supposed to
right.
show. A lot of people, if they crunch down, it takes away from their lats coming out, so they're better off just opening up the lats, spreading them, and letting the abs just flatten out the way they naturally would. Uh,
Right.
so that
Yeah.
Olympia, I came out of that Olympia weekend with a lot more confidence in the judging because I've been to a lot of Olympias with some really bullshit decisions where people kept their titles in various divisions that they shouldn't have. They were definitely off their game, and that's when you hear, well, they didn't knock out the champ, and I'm like, oh, like going back to like Victor and Jay and
Yeah.
Ronnie and Jay. There's so many decisions in the past you could be like that guy, he shouldn't have had the title that year. Did you feel like this was the judging for that show was different than Olympias from many years that we've been going to the Olympia and watching, and for you being part of it?
Well, it seemed a bit more controversial. Like they weren't afraid to. Um, there were no like solid 5-time champions that were getting dethroned.
Yeah,
Like like when Phil was on his run, you might have argued, oh, that was a close one, but they gave it to the champ.
right.
Um, there was nobody there this year, so they were like, "This is a free for all." Let
Yeah,
everyone. I thought they did a fantastic job. The only thing that I question to this day is Shanique.
yeah.
Shanique, and God bless the girl that won, Sarah
Sarah.
Vieques. Beautiful girl, beautiful physique, great condition. But I think Shanique, I don't know Shanique. I'm not friends with her. I think genetically, shape, every last aspect of her is stunning.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. She should win anything she does. And I didn't see her as being off. I didn't see her being not in condition. I didn't. She just wasn't as dry as maybe she was last year, but she was light years better than everyone. Sarah just had better dryness. That
Yeah.
was the only thing I seen. I didn't see her having a better physique. I didn't see her being, more shapely or a better presentation. I was not there. That's one thing I will say. I was not there to
I
be
was
able to
there. I
judge
was
it.
there, and I'm agreeing with everything you said because
Yeah.
Sarah's condition was crazy. But
Yeah.
when women's physique was created 8 years ago, they weren't supposed to be freaky, shredded, dry, grainy. It even
Right.
said that when they were describing the new division, we're not looking for this, that, and that. But they say that every division, when they say that over time, that's what ends up happening anyway.
Right.
Everyone ends up coming in. The most shredded person ends up being rewarded for it.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah, my choice would have been Shanique 100%. It wouldn't have been close in my eyes. But I can see sometimes what they're doing. Like I don't know what they're doing. Were they discussing it? Were they like, she's not. Was she not trying? Was she lackadaisical? Did she have some sort of aura? Which the average viewer is going to be like, well, none of that should matter. But
Right.
sometimes it does. Sometimes it plays into the judges' minds of like, she doesn't care. She's not representing herself. She's not, and that'll play into their mind. I don't. Yeah, that's the only one. I think. Now looking back, I would have loved to seen Hadi in second place in the Open.
Yeah.
I think he deserved it. I think how good he looked in the second night, how sharp he was, how crazy he has the best legs in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's when you talk size, completeness, fullness, roundness, condition, detail, separation, he's got everything.
Yeah.
There's bigger, but there's nobody that has everything he has.
And you just said it. He was second place in the scorecards for the finals.
Yeah.
So if he had looked that way the day before, but he was up against this terrible, terrible disadvantage. He
Right.
had just gotten into the U.S. and trying to get from Dubai, or was he Turkey, Dubai? I don't know. He had a hell of a time getting here. And
Yeah.
the stress of that, I can't even imagine. When you're trying to go compete in the Olympia, you don't even know if you're going to be able to get there.
Yeah.
And they took his food away at the airport. He had all this crap happen to him that Hani talked about. What about Phil? Looking at Phil, because that's the guy a lot of us were really waiting to see. 7 titles. I wanted to see him win just because I want to see somebody break that record. And
Mm-hmm.
at this point, who's going to be able to do it? Now somebody's going to have to win it X amount of times to get there. But if you were Phil, I don't know if you've talked to him or not. Do you think we're going to see Phil again, or do you think he's done?
I have not spoken to him. I would love to. I think no. I think Phil's still got something to prove. I think he's agitated. I think the only way if I were him, that I would stop is if I physically couldn't do it. Like if there was a decision made that his midsection, his stomach is unfixable, and that he really exhausted every effort to practice holding it in, to strengthening it, to um, then yeah, but he could still win any other show.
Yeah.
And the stomach wasn't the only issue to me.
Right.
Normally, even though we talked earlier, he may have the shorter clavicles for a big guy. He's still the biggest guy on stage, on any stage. The bubbles, the bubble of his shoulders, and the pecs are even bubbly, and the arms. This didn't appear this time.
Yeah, he
He didn't
wasn't.
have the biggest, roundest shoulders. He didn't have the biggest legs. Normally, even next to Rami, his legs are rounder, like bubblier, and that wasn't the case this time around. So I think it's more to do with getting another full year under his belt. This is all speculation because I know nothing about
Right.
his off-season training and how long he actually did have to train. Because my understanding is he had numerous surgeries, not just one, but numerous surgeries to correct this issue. And
Wow.
he didn't get to real training until you know, so it's not like he had 2 years off. He had probably a year off, you know,
Hmm.
to genetically for him to come back and look as good as he did is pretty awesome. Now I
Yeah.
think if he's healthy and he can move forward and build off of that, then he could still possibly come back and take his crown back. If
Yeah.
he had that crazy look, there's a few pitches out there that look morphed and aren't, where he's just so round, um, and it changes everything. You forget about his midsection if his shoulders are coming out like this,
Yeah.
and his legs are crazy round. He just wasn't his best in general.
Yeah.
Um, the
2010, the Phil from 2010 to about 2017, he would destroy that lineup at this last Olympia. Destroyed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I love Rami. I was not impressed. Yeah, he's huge. He was in really good condition.
Yeah.
It wasn't lights out condition. It wasn't,
No.
he didn't have any quad separation. He didn't have any he wasn't like super feathered anywhere. He had the glutes, his hamstrings are good. He was dry in a few pictures I seen, backstage or pregame pictures, hotel room pics. But I think Hardy was in better condition. I think
Hmm.
the one thing that Rami really stood out though is same thing that I spoke about with Sean Clarita. Everything he did everything he could and checked all the boxes with the posing, getting
Yeah.
into the poses, holding the poses. He didn't mess up anything like that. So his conditioning, as far as posing and hitting the shots and getting through prejudging, was better than anyone's. And
Hmm.
that's what got him through. And his conditioning was good.
Yeah.
And he's the biggest guy in history. So he deserved to win. But I think he's very beatable. I
Yeah.
think I think Phil puts back on 10 pounds of muscle or 8 pounds of muscle, whatever the hell it is on him. 3 pounds could look like 12.
Right.
Phil, I wouldn't give up if I was Phil. I would try to come back, find a specialist that focuses just on his midsection, someone that works with him 2-3 times a week
Hmm.
and practicing, vacuums and really put in the effort to fix that midsection. And I think if his midsection's better,
Yeah.
it'll help him in his training and every other aspect. If his midsection is tighter, he can train his legs better. If his midsection is stronger, he can train his back better. So I think he can build everywhere again.
Yeah.
And
Because
that's
you
what
know
he
what,
needs
Phil,
to do.
the quality that Phil had that I wish Rami had is that crazy, crazy deep separation, details, striations, just so many things to look at when he hits a pose. And Rami, man, I see a little more of that than he had years ago, but not much. I
Yeah.
don't know if I don't think he's ever going to have that particular quality because if he doesn't have it now, why would he suddenly start getting it at, he's 30, he's still a young dude. I think he's like 35, but
Yeah.
somewhere around there. But I don't know. Do you see any improvement in that particular quality, the separation, the detail in this guy?
I don't know. I don't know. Someone else I was talking to recently spoke about don't quote me on this exact thing, but there was scar tissue in his legs, and that
Mm.
maybe even that Chad had spoke about it.
Hmm.
Chad mentioned maybe one of his old coaches had gotten too crazy with his legs, and
Mm.
they're trying to break it up and working on getting it all flushed out and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Um, I think there are possible ways for his legs to be drier looking.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I know. Will he look like Phil? Nobody looks like Phil.
True. True.
So no, he won't. But he can be better. He can definitely be better.
Yeah. Because I mean, 4 years in a row, we had a different champ, and I'd like
Crazy.
to see. You hear, Rami's a great competitor for sure. He's Mr. Olympia, but I'm not, like you say, I'm not confident he's going to hold that title. There's nobody out there right now that's so dominant where I could say they're going to have this title for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. There's nobody right now that I see that's that awesome the way Ronnie was, the way Phil was. Lee Haney, Dorian, going way back. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because when those guys won, they were the biggest, hardest, best shaped guy on stage.
Yeah.
Rami's not even the hardest guy on stage.
Right.
He doesn't
Right.
have the best shape either. He's only the biggest.
Mm.
So he's only checking one of those boxes, where Ronnie checked every one of them. Phil checked every one of them. Even Dorian checked every one of them. You know, this is one box that he's checking. So yeah, he's very vulnerable to be beaten. I'm excited to see what Chad has in store for him. I think with the combination of Chad and DJ, if he comes out early again and spends more time, training and posing with DJ, it can only help. He can definitely get better. He's a young 35, 36, or whatever he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicest guy. I know it's unrelated to physique, but I never really got to speak to him at all until 2020, like ever. I never, but 2020 I got the interview. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Man, we could talk about this crap all day. In fact, when we hang up, I'm going to talk to you about maybe doing that. But yeah, so come back on hold. We'll see what's going to happen. But so many people want you back, Jose. You know that. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I want to come back. It's just one of those things. I don't want to be that guy that gets on stage and you're like, oh, what the hell's he doing?
You won't be. You won't be.
And I have enough people in my camp, per se, that'll tell me, and I know what it looks like.
Right.
I'm not happy with the way I look right now. If it were up to me today, I wouldn't do it. But I see a good progress. I see I'm big right now. I'm I'm in good shape. It's just a matter of can I hit the shots? Can I hit those poses? When you have bad shoulders and bad everything, hitting the lat spread is torture.
The lat spreads are the toughest poses when your shoulder is jacked up.
Right.
One will come out the way you want it to, and the other one you're like, come on, and it won't do it.
And that's even what my front double looks like right now. Like my left arm is all like jammed up. You can tell it. So, I mean, I look great in a t-shirt or a tank top, but it ain't. There's no hiding on a bodybuilding stage.
That's right.
So I'll be back on with you soon. We'll discuss it. In the meantime, I'm helping all the local guys, or a lot of local guys, in doing my thing with Nate. Nate's awesome. Nate's a very intelligent dude that's very well spoken and never at a loss for words. So we have fun with the podcast and stuff. We took a little break around the holidays, and now we're back to shooting some training videos. I always love shooting the training videos, just because that's my specialty. That's what I love to do, and I like explaining it to people and teaching. Anything that you may not. I love people learning from my videos, and people always reach out to me. Oh, that was a great workout. I didn't know that about this or whatever.
Right. Oh, that's why I used to like shooting the training videos with you, because you would explain things between sets, and you did have little variations on a lot of the exercises that most people would never have thought to do on their own. But I'm sure once they saw the videos, like, I'm gonna try that tomorrow.
Yeah.
You and Nate have also been going around to a lot of the best gyms in the Northeast.
Yeah, that was a huge thing that I wanted to do, because corporate America is killing the little guy, and there's a lot of great privately owned gyms all over Massachusetts. And I actually drive to Fall River at least once a week, every week, just to do legs, to go to General Fitness.
Yeah.
And the place is unbelievable, and the owner is awesome, and they welcome us with open arms and film anything you want. Do it. Hey, want a t-shirt? Want a shake? Do whatever you want. That's the camaraderie and the atmosphere we want. And that I love. And if I had my own gym, that's exactly how it would be. I want bodybuilders, people in the fitness community, to feel welcome, not to feel like an outcast because you got veins sticking out, or you're bigger than the average guy, or I want to go where I'm welcome. So we went there. We went to East Coast Muscle up in New Hampshire. We went to Prime Fitness out in what's it, Auburn or Oxford?
That's the one that got shut down.
Yep. We went to Impact We go to Impact Fitness quite a bit. The woman that owns that is awesome.
Didn't you come down to you came down to Bayshore, didn't you one time?
Came down to Bayshore a bunch of times. Yeah. I love Tim. Tim is another guy who's awesome, been around forever, and very, very welcoming to the bodybuilding community. He's got a lot of meatheads in his gym. And
absolutely.
Yeah, you train there pretty regularly, right?
Oh, that's my gym. I've been there for I want to say going on like 4 years now. You know what the weirdest thing about that gym? I've never seen so many guys like over 6'1" or 6'2" in one gym. And these aren't basketball players. These are like there's a bunch of big. A lot of them have like no legs. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But I've never seen so many. It's like they cranked them out of a factory. You know, they're all tatted up. They're all like 6'2". They're all from Weymouth or Braintree or Southie or Dorchester.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious. Yeah. Because I like, you know what I used to like about the place in Revere?
Greater Boston.
Greater Boston Fitness. Was there's a lot of Asians and Central Americans. So I was never the shortest guy there.
Yeah, exactly. Me neither.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the gym that I've been training at just recently is a place called Olympia Barbell. Huh? And it was started in my hometown. This is crazy full circle shit here. When I was like 9 years old, I used to go train there. My brother, with my brother, my brother's friend, Mark Kinney, he would come pick me up at night and we'd go in there. It was a key club, and it is today. And they moved it from Wakefield to Peabody, which is right down the street from my house.
Perfect.
So I've been going there. It's about 800 square feet.
Wow.
And they got anything you need, the hack squat, leg press, benches, heavy dumbbells. They got a monolift for squatting, deadlift platforms. So it's as hardcore as it gets. Wow. So I'm going to film a video in there.
Olympia Barbell. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool is that?
Very cool. Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up for now because I could talk to you all damn day. My Christian is coming home. I got to train him.
Oh, good.
He's trying to make some gains. But let's talk about doing more of this, please.
Yeah.
In the meantime, guys, YouTube, it's the Boston Mass.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, it's all one word. It's you got to add an extra E. Kind of like Megan Thee Stallion. It's the Boston Mass on Instagram. And you can follow the antics and escapades of this guy here, Jose Raymond.
Yeah. But, my website just went live again. Oh. I had shut it down for a while because I wasn't using it, but it's back up.
thebostonmass.com.
Yeah.
Okay, merchandise again, I hope?
Yeah, I still got a ton.
Oh, okay, perfect. There you go, guys. Now you know how to reach them. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and thank you, Jose. Appreciate it very much. And we'll see you guys next time.
My pleasure.